Sarah and Vinnie on Alice at 97.3.
I like to talk. I started doing college radio, and now I've built this web internet television show that I've been doing for the last few years, and I've just moved it out of my living room into a little studio that I've built in Los Angeles, and I'm doing this talk show, this Web-O-Vision talk show, I call it, and people can watch it on my website.
Well, a lot of us know you from that first show you were doing. Was that on MTV, the first big one that you were doing?
My show started on public access in Canada in 1994, and then 1999, 2000, it was on MTV. We got picked up by MTV like a band, traveling around. We were basically traveling around in a van in Canada, filming weird stuff with video cameras, and then MTV picked us up and put us on the air.
So as I was just looking at this promotional sheet they give us to talk about the shows you're doing tonight at Cobb's and through the weekend, I was thinking that you didn't really come from stand-up, but is that what you're out there doing right now, or are you doing more of an interactive show? Or?
I mean, I did stand-up when I was 15 years old till when I was around 20. I did do stand-up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. But I was doing it locally in Canada, and I was just kind of learning about show business at the time and comedy. And then
where does a 15-year-old Tom Green do stand-up, though? I mean,
in Canada, it was at a comedy club called Yuck Yucks in Canada. And
they let you in?
Yeah. It has a restaurant license, so at the time you were allowed to do it. Yeah.
And did you start on an open mic and you said, "Oh, the taste of that is delicious"? And
I really did enjoy it. I mean, I always liked getting up on stage and talking and doing goofy stuff since I was a kid. So I sort of have been doing stand-up, but I never really got to the point where I was a road comic, where I was actually doing it professionally, full time. And I was in the midst of sort of learning about it, and I started doing college radio and public access TV. I took broadcasting in school, so that's kind of how the show started.
What is this other show you're doing? Because when we first had heard you were coming in, they were saying, "Oh, he's going to bring cameras because he's got this new show." This other thing. Is
this the access thing?
Yeah, we're not filming today. I just filmed it might have been a miscommunication from one of our producers or something.
Yeah, we thought maybe you saw us online and went, "Oh, they can't."
I'm doing a TV special for Access TV, which Access TV is this cool, really cool cable channel that does a lot of live programming, and I did a talk show there last year, and now I'm doing a special, which is basically kind of me traveling around the country, doing stand-up.
You doing you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun last week. We shot in Nashville last week, and in Greensboro, North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and interviewing a lot of interesting and quirky characters that I meet as I go around the country, and doing stand-up. I love doing stand-up. I mean, people are really you're in for a real treat if you come down to the show tonight. We're going to have some fun.
You love travel?
I do. I mean, that's not...
You'd have to. 300 shows a year?
Yeah, I'm always on the road.
Yeah, I do you travel with family, or what do you do?
I sometimes bring friends with me. Sometimes, bring...
Mother, father?
My parents were actually in Nashville. They're snowbirds. So when they're I'm from Canada, right? So when they... spend their winters in Arizona, and then they drive back.
Right.
They enjoy driving, so they were driving back to Canada for the summer, and we linked up in Nashville last week. So my parents are always around. People might remember my parents from the Slutmobile.
Yeah.
Or some of the pranks.
That's when you repainted the car, is that correct?
Some of the pranks we did on MTV to them. Yeah. So people often ask me, do I have a good relationship with them? And the answer is yes, and it is good, and they come to a lot of my shows, yeah.
They must be proud of you. I mean, as much as you've tortured them, it's...
I think they're happy that I'm sort of doing stand-up and not doing as much pranking anymore, and not barging into their bedroom at 4 o'clock in the morning with a video camera. But they're also glad that I'm not living in their basement anymore. I kind of was one of these kids that didn't move out very quickly. Because I didn't want to have a job, Yeah. So I moved back in. I moved out when I was 19 for a year, and then I moved back in when I was later, and I moved out, and I kept moving back in. And,
even after you had a TV show in America with success?
No, not after that. But I didn't have a TV show in America with success until I was 28 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. So when the show went on MTV, I was 28. So I started the show in Canada when I was about 23, 22. And And so I was volunteering at the public access station to do this show. Didn't have any dough, so I moved back to my parents' basement. Was living with them as 25 years old, living in my parents' house, and waking them up in the middle of the night. It was not cool. It was not cool.
But it turns out you were a trendsetter, because that's, all the kids these days, they're all staying in the house till they're 25, 30 years old.
In all fairness to my parents, they really did help me out. They were very supportive. They knew that I was very dedicated to trying to create this show that I didn't have a whole lot of help with. I was editing all the videos myself till 3 o'clock in the morning every night at this public access station, and didn't have time for a job because I was out shooting. And they'd said, that was the mantra. When are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a real job? I said, this is going to work out. Look, there's an article in the Ottawa newspaper.
Did they ever?
Yeah.
Did you ever get discussions from them early on where they were saying, it's not a show if you're doing it for real. You don't have to put actual poop or things that you were doing that were so real, like repainting their car.
Yeah, I think they kind of sort of were in a conflicted situation, because although a lot of the pranks were certainly uncomfortable for them, they also have a good sense of humor. So when they would watch it back on the public access station every Thursday night, which they did, they were, I think, somewhat amazed that we had pulled that off. That they were even on TV.
Right.
Back then, that was before everybody had a video camera in their pocket. Everybody was, editing video on their laptop computer. That was very sort of,
groundbreaking.
It was just sort of a thing that people weren't used to. Like, oh, wow, I'm on video. It was something that was very rare to see yourself on video. So when my parents were actually watching themselves on television, and then the show picked up some steam in my hometown, and their friends at work were coming up to them and saying that they were, saw them on TV. They were, I think, somewhat confused by the whole thing, but I think they thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Is there anything you can point to where you're like, okay, I went too far on that one, or I wish I never had to hear about this thing again?
Not really, because that was always the goal, right, was to go too far. So you can't, it would sort of be silly to then years later say, oh, we went too far, because we were trying to go too far all the time. That was the whole point of the show, was to take things to a place that was a little strange.